the summertime. Okay. And поверни тогда камеру, не видно меня. Okay? Okay, so it should be good. So let's see if you will like it. Oh, I forgot to bring BlackBerry tablet. I do have BlackBerry tablet. Oh yeah, probably we can talk about it. А ежевика как будет перевести berry, да?
Blackberry.
Ежевика будет blackberry вам, да?
Да, так и есть.
А я думала, черника это, нет? So the song they're talking about autumn, to picking up a blackberry in autumn, in September.
Okay.
So we are very close to it. So we're doing it a little bit in October because it's California. That's a new. Oh, that's a new device. Yeah, that's a.
This is the
new stuff.
this is the Z10 and this is
Okay.
the Q10. These two are in the market. This one's not in yet.
You might probably want to move devices a little bit to the light.
Yes, I'll move them here.
Great.
And it's keyboard. It would be the same keyboard as on the computer.
14.
So similar. That's exactly. I didn't know that I have to kind of move it up to the right, and it's with the
You don't.
capital letter.
No, you just hold it.
Oh, I hold it. I thought that I have to move
No.
up to the right. Okay. Well, the thing is because they moved studio and it used to be a different phone number here. So I wouldn't be surprised that the phone calls goes there. And here it used to be other phone number. You don't have that phone number
Oh, we
now?
have people calling in asking questions.
They could.
Oh, good. That'd be fun.
Yeah, because if not, because I had met people yesterday who went to Orlando, all the way from California to Orlando conference. And some were happy, some not. So it was very political discussion yesterday. So I'm like, I'm just listening. Because I don't use the group, and what's happened, it's still pending. See, that's currently you have BBM groups, and
Did you join a group?
well, they tried to join, but it's for whatever reason pending. So I don't know what's happened. So, probably for whatever reason they were not able to contact me because it's still pending since yesterday. But we can have good Wi-Fi connection. Hello everyone, this is a Russian song about BlackBerry picking up in September. Well, we picking up on digital BlackBerry devices here with Principal Evangelist from BlackBerry Inc. here in October in California. Well, in California always summertime, right? So we're okay with that.
Just about, yeah.
Yes, and we have lots of devices here in front of me. I use one, it's Bolt. Having fun with that. Then I see a whole bunch of other devices. Why we just, before we go over that,
Yes.
Russian song was specifically played for you. Does it remind you of anything? It was in Russian, so I translated for you a little bit. Picking up blackberries in September. We're in October, so a little bit delays, but I know you are a very busy person, so.
Yes. I'm not sure what you mean by what does it remind me
Like working in your industry, I read it in LinkedIn profiles that you work for NASA, defense, security kind of
Oh, yes.
programs.
I did a lot of that. And let me tell my story. I have,
Oh,
I
yes,
have an interesting
please,
story.
yes.
So, actually, early in my career, my first job, I got out of university in 1985, and Ronald Reagan was president. And this was in the middle of the Cold War. If you remember the
Okay.
Cold War, when Russia and the U.S. were scared of each other, I think is a good way to put it. And my first job was with a company that made infrared detectors, which were these things we put on satellites to look for missiles that might be flying. And I was a young guy, and I'm building actually a real-time graphics interface to this new platform we were building at the time. The regular one the government was using was still there, but I was working on this research project. So we were getting live downlink of the satellite data, and we called these things we were looking for, which were missiles. We were allowed to say the word missile. We would say the word flying volcano. We were looking for flying volcanoes, which are very hot, flying things. And in the course of doing that, I saw a whole bunch of activity on the screen one day, actually in Hawaii, and I called to our command control, like, what's going on over in Hawaii? I said, oh, actually a real volcano. So my graphics system was actually rendering on the screen a live volcano that was erupting in Hawaii. That was actually pretty cool.
Which island do you remember?
I don't remember. Probably the
Okay.
Big Island, because that's the one where there's a lot of volcanic activity. But what was kind of interesting is, here I am working in this defense industry, and at the height of the Cold War, and advanced ahead in my career about 20 years or so, and I'm working for Sun doing Java, and I doing engineering management, and I had a couple guys on my team that were Russian and lived in St. Petersburg. So I would travel back to St. Petersburg to meet them and talk about our work and what we're doing, and it was just amazing and bizarre to be in this square. I don't remember the name of the square in Russia. This big open area, like with government building all around, and in the very middle, and it's gigantic. It was huge, like like a quarter mile in one square, and very famous place. Probably your callers will know about it. And in the middle, there was this big ice rink, and I'm just ice skating.
Senatskaya.
Is that what it is? Yes, probably.
What's the name of it?
Senatskaya.
Senatskaya.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a big ice skating rink because it was December or something, and you probably can ice skate there in the summer too, probably. But
Probably.
in St. Petersburg, so far north. But it was just so surreal to be, have this history of, being on defense and like being afraid the Russians were going to attack us, and then not long later in my career, I made best friends with some of my closest friends. Coach Zolotnikov, I'll call him out here, lives in St. Petersburg, and he works. He still was with Sun, went to Oracle, and so we became really, really close. And then it was kind of strange. I remember ice skating there and looking around, thinking, "Gosh, if this were 20 years earlier, I would be shot." But now I'm welcomed, and it was fun.
So you went there a few times?
Yes, I went there twice. Once in the summer, real close to the White Nights, I guess it was, when the
Yes.
bridges all come up, and it's only dark for like an hour, or a very short period of time, I remember, and it was fantastic. And I went there once in the winter, almost exactly 6 months later, when it was dark all the time. So it was kind of neat. I got to experience both parts of the season.
All right, that was a great experience for you to be in Russia and also working on volcano. I was just wondering, did that system ever used eventually wherever you work as a student?
Well, I actually wasn't a student anymore. It was a research project that I think eventually, got funded and moved on. I had moved on after that as well. In fact, my next job, I worked for the RAND Corporation and developed an animation system that was used by General Schwarzkopf in Desert Storm. So if you remember the war where Iraq invaded Kuwait and then U.S. went in and pushed Iraq back, my animation system was used at that time as well. So.
All right. Well, as we play a song about picking up Blackberries, which was in Russian language, I'm picking up Blackberry digital devices here at our table, a whole bunch of them. So I'm using Blackberry Bolt, and then you have another device.
Yeah, so the one you have is the 9900, which is our old OS. So that's BlackBerry, what we call BlackBerry OS. And then we've since released a whole new platform called BlackBerry 10, and we have a few devices in BlackBerry 10 out right now. This one here is, which I'll show you, is called the Q10. It's a touch screen, but it's also as a full keyboard. So you can touch like this, but you also have a full keyboard at your disposal, so you can use the keys, and it's very nice. So it has like built-in search. I can just start typing letters, and it'll start doing a search for me.
Okay.
So that's really cool. That's the BlackBerry Q10. And then this device is the BlackBerry Z10, or as my Canadian friends call it, a Z10. But in America, we don't say Z, we say Z. So, and this is the Z10.
I wonder how they call it in Russia. So, Z or Z10?
I think
We
it's
don't
Z.
You.
We don't know.
All right, and then this one over here, I'll show you right now. This is actually the Z30. And this device is not released yet. And it's a little bit larger screen. You can see some beautiful graphics. I don't know if you can catch that on your screen there.
Well, I know that your tablets actually had good graphics as
They
well.
did, but the resolution here is even better. And what I'm showing, I'm actually playing a game. I'm not very good at this game, but it's a game called Shadowgun, and it's a very intense 3D
I have
game.
to tell those who wants to see that version of the phone, you have to come back to Olga Show and find us on my website, olga-show.com, olga-show.com, or you can actually find on YouTube by searching Olga Show an interview with Larry Evangelist from BlackBerry, principal evangelist from BlackBerry.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is I just captured just a few frames of this, but I am using a Bluetooth controller that looks a lot like a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller, and it's wireless, and I can play the game. And our devices, all of these devices actually have HDMI out, so you can put your device on the table like this and have a cable out to a big TV, like you saw that at our show the other day.
I saw at Always On
At the Always On
yes,
mobile
but-
event on Thursday, I was doing this, so I can hook it up to a very large screen TV, and it's almost like you're playing an Xbox. You carry around with you a small, what we call a micro game controller. And then there's other games here. This is one of my favorite games. This one's called Critical Wave, and it's a very old-fashioned kind of looking game, retro game. But as you can see, it's you fly around in space and shoot these little things that come at you.
Asteroids.
Asteroids, very much like asteroids, yes. In fact, my brother was an expert in asteroids and used to go to the arcades when we were kids with $1, and he would play asteroids until he got up to about level 10 or 15, and then he would ask other kids if they wanted to play, and because he would go up to a higher level than anyone else had ever played, and so he would say, give me 50 cents and I'll let you play at this level. So then he would make money all day doing this. Like, then the other person would get on and they weren't very good, so they'd go back down to like 2 or 3 lives left. He'd take the controls back and he'd bring it back up to level 20 or 30 or whatever, and then there'd be new monsters that would come in that people never saw, and he would say, you want to play against these monsters? It's 50 cents. So by the end of the day, he would walk home with like $5, and he would go there in the morning with just $0.25.
Wow, that's very
Maybe
nice.
we could also show it to our Ustream viewers.
Yes.
Yes. So this
So-
is the game. Let's see if I can resume here.
So now we're showing it on Ustream.tv, where you can see at Olga, search Olga Show, and you can call us at 408-912-5265. I promise you, if you can send me any questions, I'm gonna send them directly to Larry, because I wouldn't be so technical as he is. He works for BlackBerry over 4 years right now.
Almost
right?
4 years, coming up on 4 years.
Yes, and
And this device that I'm showing is the Z30, which is not yet released in the U.S. It's coming soon.
What about this tablet?
The tablet this is our BlackBerry Playbook, and I have to, let me log in first, and okay, so I'll do that.
yeah, that's not.
Don't video my password, please.
Yeah, don't put on camera password of Larry, otherwise.
All right, so if you can see, I'm glad I remembered my password.
And it's working. It's a lot of applications you have.
Yes, there's a fair amount. I actually don't have too many on here because I recently reloaded the operating system. And since I work for BlackBerry, I'm always loading new operating systems on my device. Like the Z30 here actually has a new OS. So, because they want us to test it. As employees, we test the operating systems, before we ship them. So. That's what I do.
My
I don't always have a
understanding
lot.
from BlackBerry users' tablets that as soon as you connect BlackBerry to the internet, it will ask you or even download new iOS system or
iOS? No,
not iOS but new
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry system.
Yes, all our BlackBerry 10 devices do that now. So the updating process is extremely simple. So is the app development process. We used to this device, your older one, the 9900. Building applications for this was very difficult. But when we came out with BlackBerry 10, we support lots of different application platforms. So we support Air, we support web, we support native, which would be C and C++. And we also support Android. I actually launched the Android runtime for BlackBerry. I was the product manager for that. And because the operating system built on QNX is so powerful on the BlackBerry 10 devices, we can run many different runtimes.
Okay.
So actually you can run, so think of QNX kind of like a Linux, but very high performance Linux OS. And then on top of that you have runtimes, which are environments that recognize the file type and can execute those kinds of files. So on a PC, when you double click on an icon and it's a PDF file, for instance, the operating system says, oh, what kind of file is that? Oh, it's a PDF file. So it gets the PDF viewer, the Adobe reader, and hands that file to that runtime. Same is true if you click on a web page, like, oh, that's a web page. It goes and gets your default browser. Those things it goes and gets are like runtimes. And we do the same thing on BlackBerry 10. So if you click on an app that's an Android app, or it's been converted to BlackBerry, there's nothing really magic we do in the conversion. We just take the exact same bits and we don't change the bytecodes or anything. But it recognizes that as an Android file and runs the Android runtime.
For me, of course, and I think a lot of, if not everyone, security of mobile devices a great concern.
Yes.
So what BlackBerry can offer in that regards?
BlackBerry has always been the most secure device out there. We're still the only device that's completely authenticated to operate, authorized to operate in the U.S. government. So if you think if the U.S. government is secure enough with their, top secret guys, communicating on mobile devices, and they only let the BlackBerries, let them do that on BlackBerries, then it must be pretty good, right? There's a couple of cool features about our security, which I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but one of them is called BlackBerry Balance. And I can show you this. So this is the screen of the BlackBerry, right? So you see your apps and whatnot. If I swipe down, if you look very closely at the very top, it says Work and Personal. There's a button that shows up. So if I click on Work, it switches to the screen you see a different background. It's black instead of blue. That's my work phone now. So all these applications are secure through my company's VPN. So I'm switching back to personal and back to work. So each of these applications can go right through the corporate firewall. It's all encrypted. And IT managers at the companies can really easily manage these applications on these devices and the devices themselves. And if an employee leaves the company, they can wipe all the work data but not touch the employee data. And with this same system, we can manage Android and iOS devices. So that's something new that we're doing. Is we're going towards providing full device security for all mobile platforms. We've always been the most secure provider of mobile devices. So bringing that legacy to the other platforms, we think is a really good thing for us and a competitive advantage. So we're doing that.
So when hackers busy on iPhones, the most useful device by others, or Samsung, I guess BlackBerry, I know, purchase other companies, about 2 at least.
Oh, we purchase a lot of companies. Yeah, we purchase some in the security space, absolutely, and provide some very low-level encryption technology that makes our devices extremely difficult to crack. So we're very proud of that.
Very good. Now, with bring your own device problems now corporation have, I guess it's nice and easy to see that you can switch your phone and don't have to worry about corporate data stolen. On the other hand, if a person leaves the job, then you're right, it can be erased and person can still have that device without worrying about their own personal data taken away, because I know a lot of people having problems when they move from one company to another, and then they have to transfer all of their data from company's phone to another.
Yes, and it's a very difficult problem for organizations to manage. And there's one of our customers recently, offered. They're not the company that's looking to use our stuff was using another solution at the time, and the solution they had required their employees to sign a waiver if they used an Android, agreeing that if the company wanted to delete anything on their phone, they could delete everything, because they were afraid that the Android platform just wouldn't be secure enough, and they wouldn't. Those applications might, have viruses that could then, get to the data of their corporate applications. So they needed the ability to clean the whole thing, and that was a bring your own device to work kind of setup. And what's interesting is none of the employees that had Android devices at that place, at least to my knowledge, had signed the waiver, which means they're afraid to do that. So that company doesn't really have a solution for Android so far. So
All right.
just unless they go to BlackBerry, so we can do that for them.
Now, as a child, when you grew up, who did you dream to become?
Oh, probably a basketball player.
Because you're so tall. How tall are you anyway?
I am 6'5", so it's almost 2 meters. I'm not quite 2 meters tall.
Okay, yeah, that's good for basketball player.
Yeah.
Is it like minimum or maximum? I think it's no maximum there, but
Well,
definitely probably
it's,
minimum.
It's minimum height, I'm sure. One of my big heroes playing basketball was Charles Barkley. So if your listeners know Charles Barkley, and what I liked about him is he's exactly the same height as me, exactly. And he was, even though he looked small on the court, he was really, because the other guys, tower over him. He was still very successful at that height.
Now, and what would you wish our listeners? We have quite diverse listeners, and you will be seen in Russia because we put it on YouTube, and people who wasn't able to see our interview today or here, then they will have opportunity to find us on YouTube, and that's kind of great technology to
Okay.
have. So
what would I like to say?
yes, what would you wish to all our startups? We're in Silicon Valley.
Okay, so
regular folks, students, teenagers,
Got it.
kids.
Well, playing off the previous topic of the teacher and Barnes & Noble, my wife is a teacher. Love teachers. They need more money everywhere and more support. And beyond world peace and world hunger and solving all that, disease and everything, I would ask people to give BlackBerry a chance. Give us a try. We built the last 3 years, we've been building a new mobile platform that I love, and if you use it and get to use it, like I've shown some of you in the studio some features earlier, which we didn't show here, but how you can take a picture of multiple faces, and let's say you blinked and your mother didn't blink, I can touch your face and move back in time to a point where you didn't blink and fix the faces independently. And then it blends them together in one shot. It's just built into our camera. It's beautiful. And the thing is, we as a company, and be honest for a second, we didn't do a very good job of advertising and marketing our products. But that doesn't mean they're not excellent products. They're fantastic products. And you can be very, very effective and efficient using them. For instance, we just have really simple gestures to go right from any application to view your mail, and to do that on an iPhone it's like 2 clicks to get to the multitasking screen, then another click then a scroll to find the app, and you click on the app, and then you got to click back and double click to go back out of that and find your previous app. It's really complicated to move around in. Whereas a BlackBerry, you just swipe up, you swipe over. Like I'll just show you. It's like I'm just in an app. I just swipe up, swipe over. That's my mail. I'm back again. It's not multiple clicks. It's very, very fast. So don't believe what you read about everything about BlackBerry. Give it a try. It's fantastic.
So I think it's always good to have your own opinion, even so we can be downloaded with opinions of others and be very opinionated. But I can see the color is still good, and it's a lot of functions, just like with a tablet, because the quality was good, and we still see movies periodically through BlackBerry tablet, because I think the quality is still good. And that more functions came in with this, that's very nice. In that phone, when it's would be available for the public?
We haven't announced a date yet, but I know it's coming very soon. I think the one announcement we did make said something about being in stores in time for the holidays, something like that. So I I know the holidays are coming up, so I'm hoping that means the devices will be in market shortly.
And I know that since last evening when I announced that, confirmed that you will be in our studio, that people did say about good photography applications.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you photograph, you can do like seamless photo and find one you actually like, because sometimes you have shaky hands,
Mhm.
and that's doesn't actually mean anything in for those who use BlackBerry device.
Yeah,
BlackBerry
I think,
10.
I think, one advantage BlackBerry 10 has is it's built on QNX, like I said, which is a real-time operating system, which means it's very, very powerful. It's actually in 70% of the automobiles on the road today in the United States have QNX in the car platform. It runs nuclear power plants. It was used in the space shuttle. It's a very powerful OS. So because of that power, we've been able to leverage some really cool applications, and applications can leverage that power too. So it's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we come into a commercial break, and then we start in our Russian hours from 7 to 9 p.m. Thank you for coming
you.
to our studio and talking about BlackBerry. Good devices always have opportunity to come back, and I know a lot of people in companies came back to the market, and yes, marketing, just keep up with that, and I'm happy to introduce even new device, so it's kind of premiere of new device.
That's right.
It's always a pleasure. So that's new device called BlackBerry
Z30.
Z30. In Canada it's called
Z.
Z30. So I don't know how it would be called in Russia, by the way. So, but we will find out soon from our Russian listeners. And thank you very much. You are with Olga Show every Saturday night.
If we're listening